For those who've been watching our channel recently, we've been playing Assassin's Creed Origins. Each episode consists of Haku playing the game, while I'm on the side doing some brief research on the things, places, or characters we encounter to see if they actually exist in history. The game starts in 48 BC or around that time. During this time, there's the Egyptian civil war between Ptolemy XIII and Cleopatra, also known as Cleopatra we see in movies and popular culture. In this video, we're going to be exploring the historical facts of the Civil War, just so we can see how they fit within the plot of the game. So it all starts with Alexander the Great, who had, in relatively easy and blood-free manner, taken over Egypt right after he defeated Darius III and conquered Syria. On a side note, the game begins in Siwa, where Alexander was proclaimed a son of the god Zeus Ammon in the Oracle of Siwa. I'm kind of curious to see how the fact places the game, maybe with the game ending in the Oracle of Siwa. After Egypt, Alexander begins to move east, conquering other countries, and finally stopping in India. After Alexander's death, Ptolemy, who was one of Alexander's generals, was named the governor of Egypt. However, the kingdom began to break apart after infighting between Alexander's general, and Ptolemy the First Soter eventually becomes the ruler of Egypt. Thus, the Ptolemaic kingdom started in 305 BCE. That's right. The pharaohs of the Ptolemaic kingdom were actually Greek. While most of them only spoke Greek, Cleopatra was also known to speak Egyptian among other languages. During the Ptolemaic kingdom, many of its rulers often fought among themselves, sometimes due to the poking of the Roman political elite. The infighting often led to Roman interventions, and Rome began to gain an influence in Egypt. When Ptolemy XII died, he left the rule of Egypt to his son, Ptolemy XIII, and Cleopatra VII. For the rest of this video, I'm just going to call him Ptolemy and Cleopatra. Unfortunately, the list of unsuccessful shared rules in the Ptolemaic kingdom is quite long, and this one is no different. As soon as Ptolemy XII died, Cleopatra began to maneuver for total control of Egypt. Official documents dated 51 BCE started listing Cleopatra as the sole ruler, and by the time the game starts, which is around 48 BCE, Ptolemy, along with his regent Pothinus, begins to plan Cleopatra's exile. Ptolemy is around 13 around this time, and Cleopatra is around 21. Wait a minute, Ubisoft. Does this guy really look 13? Anyway, Ptolemy and Pothinus were successful in exiling Cleopatra, and she fled to Syria, where she built an army and returned to Egypt in order to engage in a civil war. However, Ptolemy had the upper hand, since he had control of Alexandria, the capital of Egypt in this moment. During this time, Pompey, who was also a Roman politician, was fleeing from his own losing civil war against Julius Caesar and asked Ptolemy for help. Ptolemy invited him into Alexandria, but murdered him once he arrived in order to please Caesar. Caesar arrives at Alexandria looking for Pompey and ended up being pissed off when he found out about the murder, thus ruining the possibility of a friendly alliance between the two. While Caesar was in Alexandria, Cleopatra, who was still considered in exile, snuck into the palace hiding in a row of carpet and ended up meeting up with Caesar in intimate terms. By the time Ptolemy arrived in the palace, Cleopatra and Caesar were already lovers, and Ptolemy storms out the palace in anger. Funny thing is that part of the Ptolemaic tradition is that royal siblings married at this time in order to keep the royal bloodline to the throne. Where have we heard of royal inbreeding before? Oh yeah. So back to the Ptolemaic kingdom. After meeting with Cleopatra, Caesar pulls out their father's will and claimed that they both were supposed to share rule, thus bringing her back to Alexandria and the throne. He also had Pothinus executed, thus removing an experienced voice in Ptolemy's political circle. So Ptolemy ended up being a puppet head for Caesar and Cleopatra. The Egyptian political elite, not happy that Caesar was now intimately tied to the rule of Egypt, began to plan a revolt. Arsinoe IV, Cleopatra and Ptolemy's sister, was chosen by them to rule. They besieged Alexandria in 47 BCE, and Cleopatra and Caesar were inside the palace at this time. Alexandria took some serious damage at this time, and some have indicated that the burning of the library at Alexandria happened during the siege. During this time, the Egyptian elite negotiated with Caesar to trade Arsinoe for Ptolemy. Caesar agrees, knowing that number one, reinforcement was going to arrive soon, and number two, defeating Ptolemy rather than Arsinoe would be a better look for him. As Caesar predicted, Roman reinforcement arrived at Alexandria and broke the siege. After a series of defeat, Ptolemy died while escaping the Battle of the Nile. drowning while traversing across the river, thus ending the civil war. After the death of Julius Caesar, Cleopatra married one of his supporters, Mark Antony. Sometime later, Antony was battling a Roman statesman named Octavian for the control of the Roman Empire. Basically, it was Octavian versus Antony and Cleopatra. When they both died during this power struggle, Octavian claimed rule over Egypt, thus folding it into the Roman Empire. Thus ended the Ptolemaic kingdom and the dynasties of ancient Egypt. The question I had while we were playing this game was, why was Caesar involved? Who gave him, a Roman politician, the power to make all decisions in Egyptians' affair? As I mentioned before, Ptolemaic pharaohs had a history of fighting, which weakened their rule. In addition, Ptolemy XII often bribed Roman politicians to serve his interests. He began to borrow money from Roman bankers and began to yield more power of his kingdom over to them. The Egyptian populace revolted, and he was exiled. He fled to Rome with Cleopatra VII, where he paid a Roman statesman around $14 billion to invade Egypt for him, and this $14 billion in today's USD. By the time of this game, Ptolemy XII is dead, and Rome is a major player in Egyptian politics, with Egypt becoming a protectorate of Rome, which is basically a country that's controlled by another. When Ptolemy XII died, he declared Rome an executive of his will, which declared that both Ptolemy XIII and Cleopatra would share rule in Egypt. So what I've been trying to do is predict what would happen in this game based on these events. Before the second episode, I have two predictions. Prediction number 1, Bayek would unintentionally involve himself in the Civil War. Using the word unintentionally screwed me over here. He's helping his wife Aya, who seems to be helping Cleopatra regain the throne from Ptolemy. So he is actually intentionally involving himself in the Civil War. Prediction number 2, because of the historical accuracy that Ubisoft wants in the Assassin's Creed franchise, and the desire to have the protagonist side with the victor, he would side with Cleopatra. So I already missed one prediction, and this is only the first episode, which is not good news for me, so I need to work harder here. And here are my predictions for the third episode. Prediction number 3, the man who killed his son is also the man behind the Civil War. Prediction number 4, Bayek will be tasked in helping Cleopatra kill some of Ptolemy's allies. Prediction number 5, maybe because I'm playing Fallout 4 now, I think Bayek will be building a guerrilla force to be helping him. I think this one's kind of a stretch, but I'm still going to put it out there. Prediction number 6. While it initially seems that the people who killed Bayek's son is only behind Ptolemy, I also believe that they are behind Cleopatra as well. Thus, Bayek will be unintentionally helping the evil forces. And I hope that using the word unintentionally will not bite me in the ass again. So that's it. Hopefully my prediction will get better as we continue with this game. Thanks to you all who's been watching our videos, and I hope that you've gained some knowledge about the historical events that are going on in the game. If you have any suggestions or feedback for this video, or Assassin's Creed video series, or even our Smash Bros. Video series, please comment in this video below. Thanks. Peace!